Naismith had nae chance. That's Fog Football's opinion, but according to the man himself, he believes, he's convinced he could have turned Hearts' fortunes around had he been given more time. Welcome back to the channel. We were initially going to do reaction to Hearts losing to Heidenheim, but by God, delusion has took over there because holy frickin' moly, Stephen Naismith. Alright, let's just break it down. I understand why he's saying this. If Stephen Naismith came out on, the warm-up, the SPFL's weekly preview show, which he said it on, right? If he came out and said on that there was no way I was going to turn that around. I'm glad they sacked me. I was snookered. The black was behind the white, all that talk. Then that's going to prevent him from getting jobs in the future. People are going to be like, doesn't believe in himself. He's done. It's just the way it goes. You know what I mean? Like, here, Clement. We always think Clement is close to getting sacked. Philip Clement, right? If he gets sacked, we'll say the same thing. Managers will always say the same thing. I think you're probably, especially so close after the sacking, maybe like 10, 15, years later, maybe they'll admit, oh yeah, that was never going to play out sort of thing. But yeah, the reality is, I don't see how it was ever going to work out. Neil Critchley's come in. It's not been the greatest form of all time for Neil Critchley, but there's been a few wins in there, a few losses, draw against Hibs as well. But of course, he did lead them to third place last season, Naismith. This is what he said though. Let's get into his comments. He's like, I don't think you know, or I certainly didn't know. I understand that you look at results and you go, right, if we can get a result here, if we don't, that builds the pressure. Inside, I was probably thinking you'll get to the international break because it was 3 games there, and they were probably games that you're more likely to look at and go, right, we should win. Ross County at home, the European game, then the big one is going to be Aberdeen. But even after the St Mirren game, we get beat 2-1, I'm sitting there really still believing that we can turn this around and I can make this better. Then when you have the phone call the next day, it is what it is. There's a bit of frustration there because you do believe. I thought we did a good job, but at the cold end of it, pressure and demands are there. And if you don't hit them, you're going to lose your job. And that's what happened. So I'm comfortable with it all. I think nobody complained about recruitment over the summer. You sign players and you think at the start of the season, brilliant, we've got this option, that option. But probably the bit you can't judge is how much time players are going to take time to sell, especially when for nearly every player we signed. Hearts is a bigger club than where they came from. And of course, it looks like he took a big leaf or a big block of pages at the Philip Clement handbook there, because it's pretty much what Clement's saying. Oh, you know, time, players need time. Don't know why it sounds like Arsene Wenger, but you understand what I mean. So the whole talk about players need time. It's November. That needs to go out the window. Obviously, Naismith got sacked quite a while ago now, but the reality is, I strongly disagree that Stephen Naismith was sitting after the St Mirren game legitimately thinking that I can turn this around, I can make this better. He would have been sitting the next day right beside the phone on the verge of believing that he was going to get sacked. And that's exactly what did happen, right? But of course, he can't come out and say that. He's got to turn around and say, oh, I believe to the very end. He's got to hold face at the end of the day. But we all know, guys, Naismith had to go. See when other clubs' fans, right, want the manager to stay, and trust me, I know all about this, that's when you know a manager needs to go. Seeing you've got so many people of opposition fans in the league wanting the guy to stay, that's how you know he's doing an awful job. See when you flip it, right, then that's when it works, my friends. See when you want the guy to go, that's when you know the manager's doing a good job. And maybe last season there's a case for Naismith at certain points, but right here, right now, me no think so. Alright? Me no think so. So, yeah, guys, that's where we're going to leave it. Hearts, obviously, off the back of that pretty poor result there against Heidenheim. It is what it is at the end of the day, isn't it? Not exactly ideal for them. Of course, they do take on Rangers on Sunday, a few days away. Looking forward to that game, I am. And then they've got, this is Hearts' next couple of games. So, obviously, they've got Rangers away at Ibrox. And return from the international break on Saturday, 23rd of November, we have got Hearts against Celtic at 7:45. So that's a weird kick-off time, but here, interesting nonetheless. Then they're away to Cercle Bruges on the 28th. Then On Sunday, they're at home to Aberdeen, sorry. Then at home to Dundee, away to Copenhagen, away to Kelly, and then at home to Petro Cup. Petro Cup is the game where you fully expect Hearts to win in Europe and hopefully for the coefficient and for themselves, move on to 9 points and get through. But anyway, guys, leave your thoughts down below. Was it time to go for Naismith, or was he owed a wee bit?